This is just fictional story. It's imaginary. Watch at your own risk. No copyright intended. I only own the storyline, editing, and maybe voiceover if I have to. Deeply sorry for the grammatical errors or any mistakes. This is just purely for entertainment purposes. Thank you. You can mute the video if you only want to peacefully reading.
Remember, you need to come early and help me cooking for tonight? The person on the other side slightly chuckled, while she held the phone near her ear while dipping her legs inside the pool. I can't promise that. You know, I have some more work. She slightly pouted. But you don't need to cook. Let the maid do everything. She looked up at the bright sky as it just 2:30 p.m. But still, you can't be late. What will I say to your parents? No need to say anything. I will call them myself if I can't come on time. She sighed. But still, please come early. The man sighed. Okay, I will try. She'd come out of the walk-in closet, already wearing a simple light blue dress, for tonight's family dinner. Her in-laws will come this time, and she can't wait to meet them, 'cause she barely can meet them because their house is so far from here. I like this dress, she said while looking at herself in the big mirror inside the bedroom. And after that, she turned and get her phone on the bedside table to check the time. She furrowed her eyebrows. It's already almost 5. Where is he? Mom and Dad will come in an hour. She then tried to call him, waiting for him to answer her call. But after getting no answer, she stopped trying and just turned around to walk out of her room, still holding her phone. She reached the kitchen and saw the maid still preparing the dinner. Mrs. Bay, is there anything I can help? Mrs. Bay looked at her and smiled while shaking her head. Don't worry, I can manage. She walks closer to her. But I want to help. You didn't let me help before, and now too. I can cook, a little. The lady in her early 50s nodded, still smiling. This is my job, and I won't accept it if I can't do it. Look, everything is almost done, only the juice. She raised her eyebrows. Then I will make the juice, she said while walking to the fridge, and Mrs. Bay only shaking her head while watching her. I can do it myself, Mrs. Bay. Don't worry, she said while keep cutting the oranges and stopping Mrs. Bay from helping her and take control. Just sit, let me do it. She is shaking her head. No, I'll do it. She giggles and continues cutting the fruits. But then her eyes landed on her phone on the table, and she saw someone calling her. And after looking at the caller ID, she slightly rolling her eyes before getting closer to her phone and tried to answer the call carefully, because her hands already touching the oranges before. And after successfully answered the call and put it on speaker, she speak. Where are you? Mrs. Bay smiled, knowing who called, and slightly moved back. I'm sorry. No, don't tell me you will be late. I can't cancel the upcoming meeting in half an hour, so I can probably only come back at 7:30. She slightly whines. But dinner starts at 7. I know, I'm sorry. I can't talk longer. I need to inform Mom and Dad, and also immediately get back to work now. She pouted, but eventually sighed. All right, just come after the meeting's over. I will, and I will inform when I'm done. Bye. Bye, she sighed and saw her husband ending the call. Mrs. Bay, who heard the conversation, didn't dare to say anything. while she already slightly annoyed and keep cutting the fruits. But then the half-peeled orange suddenly slipped out her hand and got thrown and hit her dress. Her eyes widened while Mrs. Bay, who saw it too, immediately went to her. "My dress." "It's okay. You should go and change now. I will manage." She pouted. "But it's not much. It'll be more visible in no time. You should change 'cause Mr. and Mrs. Kim will come soon." She sighed annoyingly, but eventually nodding. She groaned while entering the walk-in closet. Wasn't in the mood to change her dress 'cause she's been thinking about wearing this dress since they planned the family dinner. "I got annoyed because of him. It's his fault," she said, blaming her husband like a child, though deep down she knows it was her own fault. "Now what should I wear?" she said, looking around her and her husband's closet. She saw a white dress, but then shaking her head. "This looked like I'm going to a birthday party." She sighed and looked around again. Walking past her husband's closet, but she stopped when her eyes landed on his hoodies collection. And the only light gray hoodie immediately caught her eyes. She then remembered about something. The first time I accidentally tried this hoodie, her cheeks started to turn red. He can't even blink his eyes. I remember how this hoodie is her husband's weakness when she wore it. He never wore it again after that day, telling her it looked more perfect on her. But he didn't let her wear it when he isn't at home, nor to go out. And because of remembering all of this, she suddenly got an idea. Her eyes slightly widened, and a few seconds later, she whispered to herself, "Later, around his parents." Can he stop himself? "Mom, Dad." She ran to them after she come down and hug her mother-in-law. "How are you, honey?" She giggles, still hugging her. "I'm good, but I miss you both." Her mother-in-law chuckles, and she pulled back before hugging her father-in-law too, who is shaking his head. "You should have come if you miss us." She pulled back and slightly pouted. "I wish I could, but your son is too busy. He's still at work even now." Her father-in-law laughed. "Yes, he call us. I already scolded him and told him to not work too much." She nodded at her. "Please scold him more often." And they laughed. "By the way, you look cute with that hoodie. This is probably my first time seeing you in a hoodie." She giggles. She is wearing the big light gray hoodie and a black shorts underneath. The hoodie almost reached her thighs. "This is my husband's. I stole it." They laughed again, while then all sit on the couch before they continue talking. "Well, everything looks so tasty." She nodded while also staring at all the food. "Yes, but I'm sorry I still can't cook as good as Mrs. Bay. She cook everything." Her mother-in-law slightly laughed while looking at her in front of her, who pouted. "Hey, I can't cook too even until now, don't worry." She looked up and also laughed, remembering her mother-in-law also not that good in cooking. and after that, they started to eat. While she remembered about her husband and whispered to herself, "I hope he comes soon." A few minutes later, the three of them stopped when they heard someone ringing the doorbell. And then they saw Mrs. Bay immediately walked to the main door direction. "Must be your husband." She nodded a little, but deep down, she actually started to get excited. Excited to know about her husband's reaction to her wearing this hoodie. She slightly smirked, and not too long, they saw him walking inside the dining room, still wearing his office attire, but already taking his suit off. "I'm sorry that I'm late," he said while coming to his parents first and hugged them one by one, not yet aware of his wife's clothes. "Just don't make your wife feel lonely." He nodded a little before he glanced at his wife. And he was about to look at his parents again, but the moment his eyes landed on the gray hoodie, his eyes stuck there. Before he looked up at his wife's eyes and slightly furrowed his eyebrows, like asking her with his eyes why did she wear that hoodie at this moment. But she just looked away and continued eating. Her husband blinked his eyes as he cleared his throat and looked away from her. "Let's continue eating? Of course, at least you come when we just halfway." He nodded as he made his way beside his wife. She felt him secretly glaring at her, but she acted like she didn't notice it. He then finally sat beside her, tried to not make it obvious that he started to get a bit weird. That hoodie really did something to him, and of course it's only because his wife is the one who wear it. "What's keeping you so busy?" He looked up at his father. "There was a night meeting and I can't cancel it because the client will go back tonight itself to Italy. It's either we did the meeting today or I need to go to Italy for it." His father nodded. Sometimes clients from far can go to different countries in a day. The young man nodded and was about to say something, but suddenly his wife accidentally bumped her knee to his, making him look down, and instantly he regretted it. He then gritted his teeth. But then she again bumped her knee for the second time, making him realize she did that on purpose. And he glanced at her, seeing her act like nothing happened. And while staring at her secretly, it makes him thinking about something. He slowly smirked before he started to fill his plate with food. Sometimes can't be tolerated. He need to make her realize he need to make her regretting her actions. "How's the food, Mom?" "So good. I feel like taking Mrs. Bay again." She immediately looked up and shaking her head. "No, I like Mrs. Bay's cooking too. She make the best pasta," and she stopped and her eyes slightly widened. Because of something. On the other hand, her husband started eating. But his other hand wasn't on top of the table. But then she heard her mother-in-law speak. And hearing what she said, she realized she probably didn't notice the change in her expression. "I know, right? Mrs. Bay pasta is the best. Now you make me want that." She can't focus on what her mother-in-law said. She glanced at her husband, but he acted like nothing happened. What happened, honey? She looked up while shaking her head, trying not to make them realize that. Secretly, nothing. I just almost choked on this food. Be careful. Drink first. She nodded as she tried to get her glass without them realize something is wrong with her. She gulped the orange juice and immediately started eating again, but in less than a minute. She then tried to hide her face and close her eyes. But after a few seconds, suddenly, her eyes widened as she immediately stopped herself and looked up. Then she started coughing, trying to cover up what just happened. She feels so embarrassed at this point, because her in-laws staring at her suspiciously now, making her thinking about something. But before that, she saw her husband's other hand already resting on his own, making her try hard to stop herself from rolling her eyes in annoyance. I guess I should eat slower? What's happening, honey? Are you alright? She nodded. Yeah, but I guess I need to use the bathroom first, she said while secretly immediately tidying up herself and stood up, not forgetting to glaring at her husband secretly. I will be back. She then turned around and walking away out of the dining room, leaving her husband, who's still secretly smirking, and her in-laws, who seems puzzled. They all already done eating, but she still isn't back. Her husband heard her mother speak, while also watching his father walking away. Don't think we know nothing. He blinked his eyes. He actually kind of a cool guy. He barely talk about random stuff to his parents. Even his wife is closer to them and talk more with them than him. Not like he didn't like them, just his personality. But his parents knows him more than anyone. His mother slightly smiled. She then stood up and said something before walking away. Something that makes your son a bit taken aback. We already promised your wife that we will stay the night. I can't cancel that. So, just make sure to not disturb our sleep. She turned and walked away without waiting for her son to say anything. But then, the man slowly smiled and then shaking his head. We aren't that loud. He shrugged his shoulders. But I don't know about tonight.